Are you never Trump? Are you never Trump? Sometimes Trump. I'm Steve Green with Scott Ott and Bill Whittle, and welcome to Right Angle. Gents, we're going live to tape on Tuesday, April 26th. That's the day of the Acela primary. That's when voters in 5 states, Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, long-standing bellwethers of conservative sentiment, of course, go to the polls to choose their nominee for president. And Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are, of course, expected to sweep all 5 of their respective parties' contests and collect oodles of delegates. Already, John Kasich and Ted Cruz have been mathematically eliminated from getting enough delegates to win on the first ballot, but they're counting on the Never Trump movement to prevent the Donald from getting the 1,237 delegates he needs to avoid a contested convention. Now, Scott, I know Donald Trump isn't your first, second, third, fourth, or even 16th choice, but are you now, or have you ever been, a member of Never Trump?
Well, you know, when the field was 17 candidates, Donald Trump was very, very close, for me anyway, to being, I'm going to say, a good 19, even 18.
19, 20.
Yeah. So, no, there under no circumstances will I be voting for Donald Trump. You know, it may be, as Bill mentioned in another episode this week, it may wind up that I must vote for the sweet meteor of death, but I cannot vote for Donald Trump. That's not going to happen. Now, the thing is, when we use terms like mathematically eliminated, that really is a term that doesn't have a real meaning until the convention is over. Because if nobody comes into the convention with a majority of delegates and that first ballot passes without somebody being able to muster 1,237 delegates, well, then everything's in play. And that includes Ted Cruz and John Kasich and anybody else, including the 3 of us and the people who are watching us right now. I mean, anybody who meets the qualifications in the Constitution for President of the United States could theoretically be nominated. And so it's just not, I don't think it's a useful term to say that Cruz and Kasich are mathematically eliminated. Obviously, for some weeks now, we've not been playing for a win on a first ballot. We've been playing to make sure that there's a second ballot. And I think that still is a wide open possibility. I mean, there are scenarios, as we look at it today, in which Donald Trump can come into the convention with 1,237 or more. But man, all the dominoes have to fall just right for that to happen. And he's got to win in some places that are going to be tough for him to win. Plus, there are enough people now who have wised up to this fact that I have friends who are in Pennsylvania. And as we record this, Pennsylvania is going to the polls. And they're looking and they're saying, okay, well, I'm really a Cruz guy, but my congressional district is more likely to lean Kasich. I'm voting for Kasich just to deprive Donald Trump of that first ballot win.
Well, Scott, you got kind of ahead of what I wanted to talk about today, but you also made me think of something that I'd like to give you a follow-up on. You're so good at this kind of thing. So let's say you're part of the Cruz camp or the Kasich camp, and you're there in Cleveland this summer. What do you say to a dedicated diehard Trump delegate to win him over to you on the second or third ballot?
That's rough because, you know, Trump, if nothing else, has done a great job of engendering fanatical loyalty. The question is, and I don't think we really have a good handle on this, is how many of the people who voted for Trump are actually like the kind of people we see in the comment sections on the internet? I mean, you know, I don't know. My tendency is to believe that only the people who are not only most fanatical, but have unreasonable amounts of time on their hands are sitting around typing things in on the internet just to antagonize people about Donald Trump or just to boost his candidacy. So that's, I think, something that waits to be answered. And I think that the best thing you can do is the thing in any human negotiation is you approach the people with respect and with grace and basically say, okay, here's the situation as it is. Be honest, lay out the cards and say, as it appears now, there's no way that Donald Trump is able to win on a second or third ballot if, in fact, that looks to be the case. And what I'm asking is that you consider the good of the country and vote for the person who is least offensive to you.
Well, respect and grace. So it's pretty much just like the comments section. Bill, how about you? Is the thought of Madam President Hillary Goldman Sachs Benghazi Clinton enough to get you to join Never Trump, or have you gone full Never Trump?
Well, I'm definitely not full never Trump. Um, you know, the we're just going to have to see. I'm not, I know it sounds like I'm hedging my bets, and the reason
No,
it
that's
sounds
fine.
maybe,
It's
no, the reason it
politics.
sounds a bit like I'm hedging my bets is because I'm hedging my bets. Um, the, the fact is this, though. I mean, there's a lot of things that Donald Trump has said that I just find reprehensible. Chief of which was this Bush lied, people died thing about Iraq. I found it unforgivable. However, I find Benghazi unforgivable too, and I find the email server and the just the contempt for this nation's security unforgivable, and I find a lot of other things unforgivable as well on the part of Hillary Clinton. So yeah, I think if it comes down to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, I'm probably going to vote for the Republican candidate. I think that's what I'll do. I don't know what Trump is going to bring. I know what Hillary's going to bring. I think we all know what a Hillary Clinton presidency would look like. And if you thought she was corrupt before she had this power to pardon herself, you ain't seen nothing yet. Donald Trump is very loose cannon. Obviously, he says things that I find, some things I find tremendous, and a lot of things I find appalling. But I think the thing that is appealing to so many people about Donald Trump is the idea that he's the destroyer, Steve, right? You must choose the form of your destroyer, and it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man with a comb over. It's the guy who's going to come in and erase the board. We spend a lot of time, all of us just dealing with the idea that, well, he's not a conservative. He's in favor of universal government, sponsored single payer health care. We fought that for 8 years. But the people who are backing Trump don't care. They don't care about that. They don't care about his donations to Hillary Clinton. They care about one thing, and that is they care about destroying this political system as it exists right now. I think you can make a pretty compelling case for that. There's just one more thing I want to add about this, and that has to do with the convention. The idea that if Donald Trump doesn't close the deal before he gets to the convention, open convention, that he could, everybody would vote on the first ballot. Trump wouldn't have enough nominees, delegates to win the nomination, and then people would switch on the second. Ted Cruz is doing some very, very smart politics in terms of the way he's massaging these delegates. And that's just smart politics. That's kind of what you want in a politician. But the thing I do want to say about that is this. If Ted Cruz is able to win this thing on a second ballot revote, if he hasn't made the case outside of the convention hall and something happens inside the convention hall that is not reflected on the outside of the convention hall, I think there's going to be a Republican civil war here. You can't just go in there and take this nomination away from Donald Trump, assuming it's possible, without making the case that you deserve it. If people perceive this to be a backroom, smoky room deal, then Trump's strength is only going to grow. And if you can't convince the American people that you want it fair and square, I don't think there's any doubt that Donald Trump will walk away with, a third or a half of the Republican vote, and that's pretty much the end of that.
It sure is. And I want everybody to notice, all of our viewers and members to notice that right now they have witnessed never Trump and maybe Trump get along and be friends on a very respectful and fundamental level, getting along like ebony and ivory. So maybe you can take that into your real lives as well. All right, folks, I've said on our previous show, Trifecta, and I wrote at vodkaplanet.com more times than I can count, that of course I would vote for Trump if he's the nominee. Well, okay, maybe not of course, and I'd probably have to get drunk first, and I'd be doing the walk of shame back home after I voted. But in the end, I was pretty sure I would vote for Donald. But then Trump outright lied about the Colorado caucus. That's my home state. He lied about the hardworking men and women who make up the grassroots of the party that this limousine liberal is trying to hijack, accusing them of being nefarious insiders trying to stop the Kilo Queen's coronation. So, in language even a child can understand, here is my new and evolved position on supporting Donald Trump. I would not with my vote. I will not watch him gloat. I long to hear his sad refrain. I will not vote for Trump's campaign. Not on a lark, not for a fee, not Orange Bazaar with Rug Chablis. I do not like the way Trump talks. I cannot stand his Queensly Vox. I do not like that stinking louse. I will not let him lose the House. I will not vote Trump here or there. I don't support him anywhere. I do not like that Donald Trump. Any questions? All right, before we go, a personal appeal. Scott and Bill and I, we're trying something new. Network news commentary without a network. We don't even have just a net part. So to make Right Angle work and to provide our members with all the benefits you deserve, we need members. We need paying members. We need you. So go to billwhittle.com right now, and where it says click here to become a member, Click there to become a member. Tell him Steve sent you. He'll know what it means. Good luck. We're all counting on you. For Bill and Scott, I'm Steve Green. Thanks for being a part of Right Angle.